Hello, everybody. Hi, new viewers. We got news droning on in the background because that's what's been going on, and this is the dispatch, and that's what the dispatch is about. The Pyrrho dispatch is about, just what's going on, whatever happens to be going on in my thought process. You probably have your own thought process. I know all of my old viewers do, and I'm presuming all of the new viewers also have their own thought process. But it's hard, isn't it? Man, life is hard. I feel that. I've been feeling life is hard the last few months. And I feel spoiled to think that because also I'm in nature and stuff, which, isn't everybody's cup of tea. But it's what I always wanted to have my own home in nature. And granted, I am over 50, so, I had to work hard and finally get a house after the age of 50 or right before. And, you know, I want to just be thankful for that, and I am thankful. But I'm not only thankful, I'm also like, geez, this world, man, right? But we're going to get through. We're pushing on through to the other side, okay? Now, whoa. So I've been monitoring, I've got this channel on my satellite TV that is four news channels at once. So it's the cable, it's the MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN, and BBC. And it's pretty useful for things like this because, like, look, right now I see Fox News has some action shot. You could see who is like on the street. MSNBC last night was like in the middle of a bunch of shitstorms. And this is weird. Now, a couple things I want to say. One is, I'm not very conspiratorial. Some of you that are conspiratorial might even feel I've given you a hard time or mocked you or something, which I hope you don't think that. But to the degree that I'm skeptical and that shows, you can throw that right back at me. But I would say these protests, having been in a lot of protests, a lot of street activism and protest in my day, um, this is way beyond anything that I would normally expect. First of all, the protesters that show up for the day protest mostly are gone at night. I've been at protests that turned into riots at night. Almost none of the protesters in the day that are there for the issue are there for that part. And some are, like, some maybe not to stereotype, but like young, more militant activists or just young people that might have more reason to be out and see what's going on or be out anyway. Mostly it's a different set of people. But it does feed off of whatever the public sentiment in the street is. And there is overlap in politics. There's, the potential for overlap. But I'm just saying, it seems like there's some organized fomenting from multiple parties. The white supremacists that started what was it, the city hall? He set something on fire in Nashville, city hall or something. And, I've seen all of the above watching all of this stuff. The police are inciting things. I've seen a police I might have mentioned this, throw a phone and get knocked out cold. All of this stuff is no good for progressives, is my position. And I decided this long ago because it comes up when you're doing street activism. And especially, when I was younger and in the East Bay and Berkeley and whatnot. It comes up, this issue of, well, how militant should you be? And I just to me it became obvious through thinking it through that chaos helps the chaos merchants. It helps the mercenary minded people that can take an opportunity out of chaos. It's no good for progressives, and for that matter, it's not good for liberals or conservatives or even the fundamentalists. Even radically ideological people, the chaos is of no use to any of us because, regardless of the fact that we have different ideas of how civilization should be, and maybe those ideas are in a kind of even a moral conflict, or however important you want to say that it is, and I could agree with you and disagree with you, point and counterpoint, the fact is, chaos is contrary to all of those visions. So, it's very easy to see this chaos, like the news saying a fire started. Well, someone started a fire, and acting neutral because they're being shifty about, wait, is this my side doing violence, then I'm supposed to downplay it, or is it the other side, and then I'm supposed to, you know, demonize it? The violence is not good for anybody that really wants any kind of progress, including in all of those other ideological directions. If you want to make a civilized advancement in a direction that you think is the most civilized, chaos is always contrary to that. Chaos is a different thing. So this is a very bad thing. Then, Trump tear gassed and rubber bulleted into Lafayette Park, where this church that got burned last night, which is also bullshit and terrible. And I saw a video of a business owner in Rochester, New York, getting beat with like a 2x4 and a bunch of people. And she wasn't really quarreling, visibly to stop people from going into, I guess, what was her store. But she was standing there and I guess she was saying things. And then they were just, this stuff is all just bullshit. But anyway, Trump tear gassed and cleared all the people. I think if he wanted to clear Lafayette Park, it should have just been with the military police, not with any tear gas and stuff. But whatever. And then he goes in there and does a photo op where he holds up a baby. And the problem is, fine, you have the right to do that, President Trump, but you just don't know how to hold babies. No, it was a Bible. But what a pathetic thing. How can anybody, that's just embarrassing. Holding up the Bible like that. I think the rhetoric of using the military to quell an insurrection is pretty severe, but I figure it is just rhetoric. He doesn't really have the power to do that per se, but he could order the military to do things that would start to threaten that, and he can make a big shitstorm. Trump, to me, he reminds me like of somebody that you play hearts with that's just always shooting the moon, whether they have the cards or not. They might not have the cards to win, but they could fuck up the game and maybe luck into it. Or also like the guy that tells you he's got the perfect blackjack strategy, which is every time he loses, he just doubles his bet. That way, then when he wins, even if it's 3 losses in a row, double, 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 he's going to make it all back and break even. They just keep pushing it. I'll leave it on black, Jake. So we're in a pretty weird situation. I can't say I'm very worried about Trump pulling off a coup. It's going to be a rhetorical kind of thing, you got to figure. But that's what's going on. So it looks like there's still unrest going on tonight as well. So we'll have to see because it has been crazy stupid. And this is what happens when you pressure injustices to continue in your society. You create the opportunities for this kind of thing. Now, I could show you a half a dozen examples just in the U.S. of people rioting after sports events, both winning and losing, and just destroying millions of dollars of property, and looting and all the rest. So that's just the point, is that there's an opportunity. You can't really blame the team. It isn't really even the fans. It's an opportunity. And especially if people are really angry, or in the case of the sports teams, they get really drunk and there's a belligerent drunk aspect to a crowd like that. But also if the sentiment is really angry, it facilitates the destructive after effect. And let's say that we want to have Super Bowls, and so we're just stuck with the fact that sometimes there's a lot of rioting and destruction after that Super Bowl win or loss. it doesn't mean that we have to have it because of police brutality. And it's time to realize that people that enforce the law need to be held to a higher standard. And I understand, regular citizens, for example, for all those years when pot wasn't legal, they smoked pot. And why wouldn't a cop do that? He's an ordinary guy and nobody takes it. Well, because he's a cop. And granted, the punishment for him might be more severe, according to my system, than just a regular citizen. But in another point of view, it would be the same severity, except for he's going to lose his career because he's going to have to get another career. He better be careful. He can't break the law when he's a law enforcer, right? It's not like you get to kill more people and make more mistakes. You get to make less mistakes because we only need the police that can pull that off. That's the job. Just like if you have doctors, if you have surgeons, they have to be able to perform surgery. I've human sympathy for somebody who just can't stand the sight of blood. But if you're a surgeon and you're like, but I can't stand the sight of blood, that's a problem that involves you not being a surgeon anymore and just doing something else. I sympathize that you went through that. And it's the same way with cops that don't know how to de-escalate and control situations without undue violence, which statistically is going to lead to psychotic people like these cops killing an innocent man like George Floyd, at least innocent compared to, I mean, not that I know his whole life or could proclaim someone innocent in all respects, but compared to what he was being detained for, there's no doubt that you can't have the liberty to act like that's no big deal, right? So, we'll have to see how everything turns out. That's the Pyrrho dispatch with the lighting coming streaming down.